Extreme weather events are becoming more common across the country right now, so being ready to face any emergency is essential on the federal, state, and local level.
Yeah, Trust for America's Health puts out a report each year grading states on their readiness for severe weather and public health threats. 10 Tampa Bay's Jenny Dean joining us live from Tampa this morning with more on how Florida stacked up in this report. Good morning, Jenny.
Yeah, good morning, Jameson and Caitlin. Florida fared pretty well in this report, listed in the top tier along with 20 other states and D.C. And it's really no surprise to those of us that live here that the state does know how to handle severe weather and even extreme heat waves. And there was a special section of this report that actually dealt with the extreme heat and the health risks associated with it, since we are starting to see higher temperatures for longer periods of time. And did you know that heat is actually the #1 cause of weather-related deaths? And that's really a big concern. It's a concern for people that live in under-resourced communities without air conditioning, for people who work outdoors, or those who have chronic diseases. And while Florida does do pretty well in being ready to handle these weather emergencies, there's still room for improvement.
Is that heat illness and heat deaths are preventable. And so it's important, for example, that jurisdictions and public health has a great role and important role to play to develop these types of heat response plans to prepare for, get messages out, and actually help communities to prepare for and be able to respond to extreme heat.
Now, one area where Florida fell particularly short was more on the public health side of this report. When it comes to flu vaccination rates, Florida is only at 42%. Of course, the nationwide goal is to be above 70%. Also, the report pointed out that workers need to make sure that they have paid time off, and that's really up to policymakers to make sure that there are policies in place so that workers can have protected leave for themselves or their family, meaning they're able to take off work when they're sick or to help take care of others. Jameson?
Yeah, Jenny, she said that we all play a part there. So what can the average person do to help ensure that the state is ready?
Yeah, you know, the Trust for America's Health says this is really in the hands of the policymakers on all levels of government, from the federal all the way down to the local. So it's really advocating for those policies that you're passionate about, that you want to make sure that your state and your city is prepared for. But there's also a personal responsibility side to that, and that's knowing what you can do for yourself and for your own family to make sure that you're prepared in case of an emergency. Live in Tampa, Jenny Dean, 10 Tampa Bay.